Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to tell you the story of Jeffrey Dahmer. But before watching the video, please make sure to like and subscribe. It will be much appreciated. Jeffrey Dahmer, an American serial killer and sex offender, was born on May 21, 1960. Between the years of 1978 and 1991, Dahmer murdered 17 males in truly horrific fashion. Rape, dismemberment, necrophilia, and cannibalism were all part of his sick way of killing. Dahmer had a pretty normal childhood. However, he became really introverted and uncommunicative as he got older. He began showing little or no interest in hobbies or social interaction as he entered adulthood, turning instead to examining animal corpses and heavy drinking for entertainment. His drinking continued throughout high school but did not stop him from graduating in 1978. It was just 3 weeks later that the 18-year-old committed his first murder. Due to his parents' unfolding divorce that summer, Jeffrey was left in the family home alone. He seized the opportunity to act on the dark thoughts that had been growing in his mind. He picked up a hitchhiker named Stephen Hicks and offered to take him back to his father's house to drink beer. But when Hicks decided to leave, Dahmer hit him in the back of his head with a 10-pound dumbbell. Dahmer then dissected, dissolved, polarized, and scattered the poor man's body in his backyard, and then admitted to killing him later on. 9 years passed before he killed again. Dahmer attended college but dropped out due to his alcoholism. After that, his father forced him to enlist in the army, where he served as a combat medic in Germany from 1979 to 1981. However, he never kicked the habit and was discharged that spring, leaving him nothing but moving back home to Ohio. After his drinking continued to cause problems, his father sent him to live with his grandmother in West Allis. By 1985, he was often at gay houses, where he would drug men and rape them as they lay unconscious. Although he was arrested twice for unpleasant incidents in 1982 and 1986, he was only faced probation and was not charged for the rapes. Stephen Tomey was his second victim, killed on September of 1987. Dahmer picked him up from a bar and took him back to a hotel room, where he woke up the next morning to Tomey's beaten dead body. He later stated that he had no memory of actually murdering Tomey. The killings occurred sporadically after Tomey, with 2 victims in 1988, 1 in 1989, and 4 in 1990. He continued to lure unsuspecting men from bars or prostitutes, whom he then drugged, raped, and strangled. At this point, Dahmer also began doing disturbing things with their corpses. He used the bodies for intercourse, taking photographs of the dismemberment process, keeping his victims' skulls and genitals for display, and even retaining parts for consumption. During this period, Dahmer was arrested for an incident at his job at Ambrosia Chocolate Factory, where he dragged and sexually fondled a 13-year-old boy. For this, he was given a sentence of 5 years in probation, 1 year at the work release camp, and was required to register as a sex offender. He was released early from the work program and moved into a Milwaukee apartment in May of 1990. There, despite the regular appointments with his probation officer, he would remain free to commit 4 murders that year and 8 more in 1991. Dahmer began killing around 1 person each week by the summer of 1991. He became obsessed with the idea that he could turn his victim into zombies to act as youthful and submissive sexual partners. He used many different techniques, such as drilling holes into their skull and injecting hydrochloric acid or boiling water into their brains. Soon, neighbors began to complain about strange noises and awful smells coming from Dahmer's apartment. On one occasion, a victim left unattended even made it out into the street to ask for help. However, Dahmer successfully convinced the police that the irrational young man was simply his extremely intoxicated boyfriend. On July 22, 1991, Dahmer lured Tracy Edwards into his home with the promise of cash in exchange for his company. While inside, Edward was then forced into the bedroom by Dahmer with a butcher knife. During the struggle, Edward was able to get free and escape out into the street, where he flagged down a police car. When the police arrived at Dahmer's apartment, the officer found the picture of dead bodies and dismembered limbs that allowed them to finally place Dahmer under arrest. Further investigation of the home led them to find a severed head in the refrigerator, 3 more heads throughout the apartment, multiple photographs of the victims, and more human remains in his refrigerator. A total of 7 skulls were found in his apartment, as well as a human heart in the freezer. Taken into custody, Dahmer confessed and began to explaining details of his horrible crimes to the authorities. Dahmer was indicted on 15 murder charges, and the trial began on January 30, 1992. He was sentenced to 15 life terms for a total of 957 years in prison. In May of the same year, he entered a guilty plea for the murder of his first victim, Stephen Hicks, and received an additional life sentence. Dahmer served his time at the Columbia Correctional Institution. During his time in prison, Dahmer expressed remorse for his action and wished for his own death. He was attacked twice by fellow inmates, with the first attempt to slice his neck open, leaving him only with superficial wounds. However, he was attacked a second time on November 28, 1994, by an inmate as they cleaned one of the prison showers. Dahmer was found still alive but died on the way to the hospital from severe head trauma. Thank you all for watching this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe. And please, tell me your thoughts. What did you think of this story?